Hello everyone. Today we are going to look at some of the example questions of spotting errors. And I hope you have watched the previous video on spotting errors, which gives you a brief introduction about the topic and helps you understand the importance of topic, how the questions are framed, and the types of questions that you encounter in the exam. Also, we recommend you to go through the document Golden Rules of Spotting Errors on EduRev before you start watching this video, as that will help you form a strong base for solving the questions in this video. Now first, let's look at the general directions for spotting error questions. Read each sentence to find out whether there is any grammatical error in it. So as we can see, we have to look for any grammatical error in the sentence. The error, if any, will be one part of the sentence, and the letter of that part is the answer. If there is no error, the answer is D. Ignore the errors of punctuations, if any. So we have to ignore the errors of punctuation, and then we have to look for any grammatical error in that particular sentence. Now let's start solving the questions. Let's look at question number 1. My neighbor is photographer. We can take his advice on the best camera to buy. So we have the options my neighbor, the part B is photographer, part C is we can take his advice, and part D is on the best camera to buy. And the last option we have is no error. So I want all of you to pause this video right here and try to do this question yourself first before we start solving this in this video. I hope all of you have paused this video by now and got the answer already. And those who have got the answer, check it with me. And those who haven't, let's try to do it together. So here we have mentioned that my neighbor is photographer. See, now the problem is that this part seems incomplete. But let's read the entire sentence. So my neighbor is photographer and we can take his advice on the best camera to buy. So we can take his advice seems normal, seems perfect. On the best camera to buy, there is no error in this part as well. My neighbor, no problem here either. So is photographer does seem kind of wrong. What should we add here? Is a photographer. So the correct sentence would be my neighbor is a photographer. We can take his advice on the best camera to buy. Now why we did this is because before any countable noun, and a noun or a noun which you can express with a number and noun whose plural you can express with an s. It's like here we have photographer, so it's a countable noun. And the plural of a photographer is photographers. So you always need an article before these type of nouns. And here our article would be a. So the correct sentence is, my neighbor is a photographer and we can take his advice on the best camera to buy. And the correct answer is option B. Now let's look at another question. Do you take the sugar in coffee? Okay, once again, pause this video right here and try to solve it on your own before we solve it in the video. Okay, I hope all of you have already solved the video or solved this particular question by now. So let's look at it together. So first part we have is do you, the next part is take the sugar, and third part is in coffee. So now we need to understand here that when we talk about substances, you do not use an article before it. And when we talk about them in general specifically, but when we talk about them specifically, we can use an article. Here the substance here is sugar. So as we have a substance here and we are talking about it in a very general sense, the won't be used. So this article won't be used. So the problem in this is in part B. The will not be used before the sugar as it is in substance. But if instead of this we were talking about specific sugar, like pass the sugar on the table, then we could use the article the. But whenever we are talking in the general sense, the article the will not be used. So the correct sentence here would be, do you take sugar in coffee? Let's look at the correct statement. As you can see, the correct statement is, do you take sugar in coffee? And the right answer is option B. Now let's look at the third question. You can pay by a check here at the counter. So once again, pause the video right here. Great. So I hope you all have solved this answer question all by yourself by now. And if not, let's do it together. So once again, the sentence is divided into 4 parts. So you can pay is 1, buy a check is 2nd, here at is 3rd, the counter is 4th. Now, when we look at this question, we can see at the surface, nothing really seems wrong with this, right? So you can pay seems okay, buy a check seems okay, here at seems okay, the counter seems okay. But see, we need to understand that whenever we talk about the mode of payment, we do not use an article before it. So we go like always, you can pay by cash or check. We don't go we can pay by a cash or a check. We say you can pay by check or cash. So we do not use an article before the mode of payment. So here, what is the article? So we need to remove this to make this sentence grammatically correct. So the correct sentence will be, you can pay by check here at the counter. And the correct answer will be by a check. Let's look at it. So yes, our answer is option B, and the correct statement is you can pay by check here at the counter. Great. Now let's look at the 4th question. She lives on the top floor of an old house, and when the wind blows, all the windows rattle. So guys, you know the drill. Pause the video, try to do it by yourself, and when you are done, again play the video and see if you got the answer right. Let's look at it once again. I hope you all have already paused this video by now. So let's do it together now. So once again, the sentence is divided into 4 parts. She lives on the top floor is 1, of an old house is 2, and when the wind blows is 3, all the windows rattle is 4th. Okay, so let's see. She lives on the top floor. She lives on the top floor. Well, on the top floor is correct. She lives is correct. So this part is all correct. Of an old house. Using of and an before old, that is also correct. So the entire sentence here is also correct. So of an old house is correct. And when the wind blows. And when the wind blows, using of the word the before wind seems correct. So and when the wind blows seems correct. All the windows rattle. So all it is saying that whenever the wind blows, all the windows in the house rattle. This again seems correct because we're talking about all of them. Then so that is why we are using S here. So it's perfect. So overall, there is no error in this particular statement. So the answer here is no error. Option E. Let's look at another question. The people think that lead is the heaviest metal, but gold is heavier. Okay. Let's see this. Let's see this very properly. The people think that, so first part, lead is, second part, the heaviest metal, third part, but gold is heavier is our 4th part. Okay, great. So let's look at it. So the people think that lead is of course, this is correct. There is nothing wrong with this part. The heaviest metal, that seems also correct. No issues with that. But gold is heavier. Again, there is no problem with either of these 3 statements. So we have narrowed it down to the first one. The people think that. See, now the problem in this particular sentence is that the use of the word the before people. When we talk about people in general, we don't use the article before that. So the people would be wrong. Also, if you thought to put an article when you were trying to do it yourself, so if you thought to put an article like the before lead or gold, that would be wrong too, because we just learned that we do not put article before substance when we are talking about them in general. We only put the article before them when we are talking about them in specifics. So here the correct sentence would be, people think that lead is the heaviest metal, but gold is heavier. So the correct answer here would be option A. Let's have a look at it. So as you can see, the correct answer is option A, and the correct statement is, people think that lead is the heaviest metal, but gold is heavier. Now let's look at the question number 6. Each woman and each man have equal rights to choose the career of their own choice. Well, this is actually, a right thing in general also, if you not talk about in grammatical. But let's look at it from the grammatical point of view for once. So each woman and each man have, so that is the first part, equal rights to choose that's the second part, career of their own choice is the third part, and the fourth option we have is no error. Great. So let's again look at it. So here, each woman and each man. Now see, we need to understand that when two singular nouns, which is here woman and men, are joined by and, we always do that, when two singular nouns, as we learned in the previous video, when two singular nouns are joined by and, we treat them as plural. But there is a point. So, but when each one is preceded by, each of these nouns are preceded by the word each or every, then the verb will be kept singular. So when these are preceded, the nouns are preceded by the word each or every, then the verb will be kept singular. And when the verb will be kept singular, singular helping verbs will be used instead of the plural helping verbs. So here, instead of have, has would be used. So the correct option we have to choose is option A. And the correct sentence would be each woman and each man has equal rights to choose the career of their own choice. See, the correct answer is option A, and the correct statement is once again each woman and each man has equal rights to choose the career of their own choice. Let's look at question number 7. So the statement is rice and curry are cooked in the mess of our college daily, although none of the students like to eat it. So the first part is rice and curry. The second is are cooked in the mess of our college daily. And the last part is although none of the students like to eat it. And the fourth option that we have is no error. So rice and curry, this seems perfect, that there is no issue with this. Are cooked in the mess of our college daily, although none of the students like to eat it. Okay, great. Now I'm sure all of you must remember that we have learned earlier that when two singular nouns, which are rice and curry here, are joined by the word and, they are treated as plural. But there is an exception to this, because there are, rice and curry, these are two singular nouns which are joined by the word and here. But when they represent a single entity or emotion, they are treated as singular. And the verb, the helping verb, will also be kept singular. Here, we all know that rice and curry are supposed to be, we have it together, rice and curry. So they represent a single entity here. So, and when that is the case, the verb will be kept singular and instead of are here, is will be used. So the correct statement would be rice and curry is cooked in the mess of our college daily, although none of the students like to eat it. And the correct option is option B. As we can see, the correct option is option B, and the correct statement is rice and curry is cooked in the mess of our college daily, although none of the students like to eat it. Now let's look at another statement. Not Vikas but his friends was found involved in the conspiracy. So again, let's divide the sentence. Not Vikas but his friends is one, was found second, involved in the conspiracy third, and the fourth is no error. Okay. So see, there is another new rule here in this particular sentence that we need to see. That if two subjects are joined by not or not but, the verb is kept according to the subject. So as you see, there are two subjects here, Vikas and his friends. So you see, if two subjects are joined by not or not but, the verb is kept according to the subject with which not has not been used. So the verb should be here were instead of was. Why? Because here the subject with which not has not been used is friends. And we know friends is plural. So with plural helping verbs would be used. So with friends, were will be used instead of was. So the correct statement will be not Vikas but his friends were found involved in the conspiracy. So the correct option would be option B, and the correct statement is not Vikas but his friends were found involved in the conspiracy. Let's look at question number 9 now. A great many students has shown their interest in the government. Okay, so a great many students is the first part, the general drill. We are going to divide the sentence into 3 or 4 parts. Has shown their interest is second part, in the government is third part, and the fourth is no error. So a great many students has shown their interest in the government. So as we can see, a great many students seems plural, right? But here has been used, which is a singular helping verb. So what do you think? Instead of has, what would have been used? Of course, have would have been used. See, with many, a great many, a good many, with all of these things, plural form of the verb is used. So the verb should be here have instead of has. So the correct statement is a great many students have shown their interest in the government. The correct option is option B. See here. So correct option is option B, and the correct statement is a great many students have shown their interest in the government. Now let's look at question number 10. 2/3 of the government land has been acquired by the land mafias in our city. So the first statement we have here is 2/3 of the government. Second part of it is land has been acquired. Third part is by the land mafias in our city, and the fourth is no error. So the first thing we need to understand is then whenever half of, 1/3, 2/3 of, 3/4 of, all of these statements are used and they are followed by an uncountable noun, which is government here, which is an uncountable noun, then the verb will be kept singular. What is our verb here? Has. And it is singular because we know has is a singular helping verb. So there is nothing wrong with this entire statement, and the correct answer is no error. But you see, if instead of government there would have been a countable noun, then has would have been wrong, because when there is a countable noun being followed by 2/3 of or any kind of half of, 1/3 of, anything like that, instead of has, then a plural helping verb would be used. And what is the difference? That the noun would have been countable. So if we talk about the statement, half of the items have been sold. So half of the items in itself is a countable noun. Then have would be used, which is a plural helping verb with that. So the correct statement is half of the items have been sold. So let's look at it. The correct answer is option D, and there is no error with the entire statement. Now let's look at question number 11. More than one student was selected for the annual scholarship by the college authority. Okay. So again, let's divide the statement. More than one student was selected for the annual scholarship. Second, by the college authority. Third, and the last is again no error. So here once again, more than one. So when we talk about more than one, of course, we are talking in the plural sense here. Okay. So when we are talking in the plural sense, we do not use a plural noun. So you see, whenever more than one is followed, more than one should always be followed by a singular subject as well as a singular noun. So the noun students here is wrong, and it should have been written in the singular form. So here the subject should have been singular. So more than one student was selected for the annual scholarship by the college authority would have been the right statement. So the problem here is with part A. So the correct answer is option A. And the correct statement is more than one student was selected for the annual scholarship by the college authority. Answer is option A. Now question number 12. His parents were angry with him because 2,000 rupees were spent by him on unnecessary items. Okay. So let's again once again divide the statement. His parents were angry with him, one part, because 2,000 rupees. Second part, were spent by him on unnecessary items. Third part, and the fourth is no error. Okay. Let's have a look at it. So see here, the combination of numeral adjective plus plural noun. Now this gives an impression of a certain value, height, weight, distance, etc. And therefore the verb should be in singular form. So here the verb should be in singular form. You see, this verb in part C should have been in a singular form because there is a combination of a numeral adjective plus a plural noun. So the noun here rupees and a numeral adjective. So noun is plural, there is a numeral adjective attached to it. So we have to put the entire thing in the singular form. So here part C, in part C the verb should be was instead of were. Here, so the correct answer is option C, and the correct statement is his parents were angry with him because 2000 rupees was spent by him on unnecessary items. This would be the correct statement. Let's have a look at it. As you can see, option C is correct, and the correct statement is his parents were angry with him because 2000 rupees was spent by him on unnecessary items. Now let's look at question number 13. He behaves as if he is the owner of the company. Okay. So again, let's divide it. First, he behaves as if he is the owner of the company. Third, no error is fourth. So see, if, as if, wish, if only, whenever they are followed by to be, one should use the auxiliary verb were regardless with the subject being of any number. So as you can see, here we have is as if, we just heard that if, as if, wish, if only. After all of these things, they are followed by to be. Okay, so when they are followed by to be, wanting to be of the owner, that he is the owner of the company, anything like that, we use the auxiliary verb were regardless what is the subject here. Of course, the subject, as we can see here, is singular. Okay, but instead of that, we will still be using the auxiliary verb were here. So instead of is, we will say as if he were. He behaves as if he were the owner of the company would be right. So the correct answer is option B. Let's have a look at it. As you can see, the correct answer is option B, and the correct statement is he behaves as if he were the owner of the company. Now let's look at the next statement. Question number 14. It were the people of India who fought bravely against the tyranny of British rulers. Okay, so here, okay, first, let's divide it once again. So if it were the people of India, first part, who fought bravely, second part, against the tyranny of British rulers, third part, no error, is our fourth part. So here the error is in part A, where the verb were. So here the verb were is incorrect and should be replaced by was. Why? Because if there and it are used in introductory subjects, so if there or it are used as introductory subjects, then in case of there, the verb agrees with the noun or pronoun used after there. Okay, so if it was there, then the verb would have to agree with the noun or pronoun used after there. However, in case of it, the verb should always be kept singular. So if the entire sentence and the starting subjects are used as it, so if it is the introductory subject, then it will always be singular helping verb with it. So here instead of were, was will be there. So it will be it was the people of India who fought bravely against the tyranny of British rulers. This would be the correct statement, and the right answer is option A. So as we can see, the right answer is option A, and the correct statement is it was the people of India who fought bravely against the tyranny of British rulers. Now let's look at question number 15. He and I has made a plan to surprise our mother on her birthday. So he and I has is first part, made a plan to surprise our is second part, mother on her birthday is third part, and no error is the fourth part. So you see, whenever, as we have already learned, whenever two nouns and also pronouns, two pronouns are joined by and the verb is kept in plural form. Obviously, okay? So when two singular pronouns are joined by and, then the verb has to be put in plural form. So here, instead of has, have would have been the correct way. So he and I have made a plan to surprise our mother on her birthday is the correct statement. And the correct answer is option A. He and I have made a plan to surprise our mother on her birthday. Let's have a look at it. As you see, the correct answer is option A, and the correct statement is he and I have made a plan to surprise our mother on her birthday. This is the entire sentence. So with this, we have come to the end of this video, and I hope solving these questions together had made you understand this topic better. Now you all are equipped to attempt all these tests on the platform of spotting errors. If you encounter any issues, feel free to rewatch these videos for better understanding and have a happy learning with EduRev. Thank you so much, everyone.